get ready for an end pose. End pose, end pose. Nice! Well done, well done. Please be seated. In the center of every Unity service, we make time for a meditation, and we're going to come into that time soon. It'll be about 3-4 minutes of silence, so I encourage you to make yourself comfortable now. But as our first step into this more contemplative part of the service, we have a reading from my good friend and recent new member, though you've been here for, I think, 10 years, right? Scott Meehan.
A true home is one of the most sacred of places. It is a sanctuary into which people flee from the world's perils and alarms. It is a resting place to which at close of day the weary retire to gather new strength for the toils of tomorrow. It is the place where love learns its lessons, where life is schooled into discipline and strength, where character is molded. For those who live alone, it can be a cloister of calm and centeredness. Few things we can do in this world are so well worth doing as the making of a beautiful and happy home. The one who does this builds a sanctuary for God and opens a fountain of blessings for others. Far more than we know do the strength and beauty of our lives depend upon the home in which we dwell. Whoever goes forth in the morning from a happy, loving, prayerful home into the world's strife and struggle is inspired for noble and successful living.
So we're going to head into silence pretty soon for a nice meditation, but to help ease our way in there, we're going to use a chant that Aaron wrote. And the lyrics are, "Come to freedom, walk with me. All roads lead you home." This song is going to be sung as a round. And what that means is that you're going to hear people breaking off and starting their own melodies and starting the phrases at different points. And what's really cool about that is a round creates this kind of sonic dance. And just like when you're dancing, it creates this beautiful interplay of sound and space, and you get to start looking at each other and listening to each other and really tracking who's making space for you to move into. What kind of space are you making for others to move into? When you're singing that line, how is that empowering other people to step into their own voice? Come to freedom, walk with me. All roads lead you home. Come to freedom.
Sometimes it takes a rainy day just to let you know everything's gonna be alright. I've been dreaming in the sun. Won't you wake me up, someone? I need a little peace of mind. Wake me from this dream that I have dreamed so many times. I need a little peace of mind. Oh, I need a little peace of mind. When you open up your life to the living, all things come spilling in on you. And you're flowing like a river, the change around the changed. You got to spill some over, spill some over, spill some over all. Filling up and spilling over, it's an endless waterfall. Filling up and spilling over all. Filling up and spilling over, it's an endless waterfall. Filling up and spilling over all. Like the rain falling on the ground. Like the rain falling all around. Filling up and spilling over, it's an endless waterfall. Filling up and spilling over all. Filling up and spilling over, it's an endless waterfall. Filling up and spilling over all. Sing it if you know it. Filling up and spilling over, it's an endless waterfall. Filling up and spilling over all. Filling up and spilling over, there's an endless waterfall. Filling up and spilling over all. Like the rain falling on the ground. Like the rain falling all around.
Happy Pride, everyone. All these rainbow leis are so fun. I didn't realize I would be dressing so perfectly to fit everybody. A young couple moved into a new house, and the next morning while they were having breakfast, one of them saw her neighbor hanging the wash outside. That laundry's not very clean. She doesn't know how to wash correctly. Maybe she needs better laundry soap. Her wife looked on in silence. Every time her neighbor hung her washing out to dry, the young woman made the same comments every week, once a week. And after about a month, the woman was surprised to see a nice, clean wash on the line and said to her wife, "Look, she's finally learned how to wash correctly. I wonder who taught her this." And the wife replied, "I got up early this morning and washed the windows." So this is such a great topic, this topic of home. And before I get into it, I want to say two little things to give you kind of a context. And the first is that one thing that I've learned as I have grown into my maturity, I was going to say got old, but I'm going to say have grown into my maturity. The longer you live, the greater the changes in society you get to witness. I think about my grandparents' generation, and they were born at a time of horse and buggy, telegraph, and snail mail. And then they saw radio, movies, TV, cars, airplanes, and a man land on the moon, because they all lived to 90 plus. So at the age of 67, what I want to say is, it being Pride Sunday, and we're talking about home, it just, as I was writing my talk, it turned out I am going to be sharing with you the changes, some of the changes that I've witnessed as a gay man in America over the last 60 years. So my illustrations of my points are going to be from my own life. And it's kind of weird because I've been in the pulpit 15 years. I'm going to talk to you about things and share things that I never shared, because I never really talked about being gay very much in the pulpit. So this is your lucky day. Okay, so I really dove deeply into this topic of home, and it seems to me that there are, or I'm going to use the metaphor of 4 concentric circles to illustrate what I believe we all go through in our experience of home, of coming from home, finding home, seeking home, returning to home. And the first circle, the tightest circle, the most intimate circle, is that we have a home in our soul. That's our first home. You have to be at peace in your soul, or you cannot be at peace or even find peace, even if you have a healthy body, loving companionship, and a beautiful home. If you're not at home in your soul, if you're not right with your soul, then you're not at home. Does that make sense? That's the number one thing. Got to have that. If you have a guilty conscience, your soul cannot be a refuge. You've got to confess, atone, and make things right. I'm thinking of this story. I didn't know I was going to tell this. Reverend Edward Viljoen has a center in Santa Rosa, California. And his lead practitioner was in charge of their finances. And they discovered that she had been embezzling and that she had stolen $250,000. And he prosecuted, or I should say the church prosecuted her. And there was a meeting, and she said, you know, I can't believe that you're going to make me go to prison. And he said, I'm absolutely going to make you go to prison because I want to help you burn this karma as quickly as possible. If you're filled with unforgiveness, your soul can't find rest. You have got to do the hard work of forgiveness. And it's really unpleasant. How many people have had to forgive? And was it fun? No, it's not fun. It's not fun. I remember early on, we were in the basement here. I'd started Amazing Grace Spiritual Center, and we started here in the basement. Thank you very much. And one of my early talks, I said, today I'm talking about forgiveness. And this newcomer just got up and walked right out the door. He was not having it. I understand that you can only forgive when you're ready to, but you will not be free. You will not have a home in your soul. You will not be at rest until you do that work of forgiveness. And when you do, it will be so good for you. If you're full of self-doubt, self-hatred, or self-loathing, if you don't know your place in the cosmos or question why you exist, then you're really just a lost stranger in a strange land, and you have no home. So attending to the matters of the soul are essential to having an experience of home. I was 14 years old in 1969, and the worst thing that could happen to you was to realize that you were homosexual. Although it was never openly talked about, somehow everyone knew that homosexuals were seduced by the devil and doomed to an eternity in hell, or were psychologically sick, perverted pedophiles doomed to a life of loneliness and rejection, and then eternal damnation in the fiery pit after you die. You know, no one talked about it, and yet everyone knew that that's how it was. I certainly knew that's how it was. 1969 was long before Ellen, Will and Grace, the L Word, Queer as Folk, Janelle Monáe, the out rapper Little Nas X. Has anyone seen any of his videos? Like, his sexuality is out there, okay? and the basketball star Brittany Griner being rescued from a Russian jail and then greeted on national TV by her wife. There was none of that in 1969. There was none of that. So it was very attention-getting when this late-night TV show announced that they were going to have as a guest on the show an avowed and admitted homosexual. And that was the phrase, an avowed and admitted homosexual. And it was going to be on a Friday night, late night. My parents went out, oh, thank God, my parents went out for dinner and dancing. My brother went out drag racing. I had the little 12-inch black and white TV on the kitchen counter. How many people remember that? Yeah. And I turn on the thing, and they say, and now our guest. And they pan to a screen, and the guy is only shown in silhouette behind a screen with his voice disguised. Because no matter who he was, no matter what his job was, no matter what his life was, if people knew who he was, his life would have been over. That's all there was, really, for gay representation. How times have changed. Amen? Amen. I am at home, and I am watching this zombie apocalypse TV series called The Last of Us. How many people have seen it? Okay, there's this zombie apocalypse TV series, and I'm just watching this thing, and they come to episode 3, and the whole episode is this incredibly romantic story about these two very attractive gay men making a life for themselves in the zombie apocalypse. And I thought, oh, how far we have come. I mean, yes, they do commit suicide together at the end, but still. If I was a teenager today, and I'm just watching a zombie apocalypse thing, and there's this incredibly romantic, I think it was the most watched episode of the whole series. It was incredible. So that's one thing, how times have changed. I didn't come out until my second year of college, and I can tell you that my time in the closet was one of being profoundly isolated from everyone around me. You have a home in your soul. After all, this is the most intimate place in the universe you will ever know the divine. That's where you will know the divine, in your own soul. It's very precious. It starts in your spiritual center. Take care of that, and all of the other layers of home will fall into place. The next circle of home is, in my observation, is in your body. Your soul has a home on this plane of existence, and it's your body. And yet, how many of us condemn, ignore, mistreat, or otherwise subject our bodies to all sorts of bad thoughts, bad feelings, and bad behavior? Your body is a work of art and genius. It's a gift from Mother, Father, God. It's an absolute miracle. Everybody take a nice deep breath and let it go. And it's a fit vehicle for the soul that you are to move around on this plane of existence. If you're worried about your looks or your shape, just stop it. Just stop it. You are lovable just as you are. My grandmother, Jean Murray, was a plump, wrinkled, lumpy, old lady, and I worshiped the ground she walked on. A child only needs one person in their life to love them unconditionally in order to make it through a rough childhood. And I know that. I know that truth. And my grandmother was it for me. Looking back in a certain way, she really saved my life. And you can do that for someone else. You don't have to have movie star looks to do it. Your ability to love someone unconditionally without judgment is your superpower. That's what makes you beautiful. I'm not transgender, but I do know what it's like to realize you're different and what it takes to defy societal expectations to live authentically. And that's why all these laws against trans people are so ignorant and so cruel and so destructive. I also believe that that truth wins out in the end, and that the moral arc of the universe actually does bend towards justice, and that it's actually progress for us as a society to grapple with trans issues. You know, all the issues that we are struggling with are worthy issues. Abortion is a worthy issue to struggle over. And trans rights is it is great that we have reached this place in society where this topic has come to the fore and we are struggling over it. And we need to be kind and patient and understanding with ourselves as we work through this very worthy issue. It's out of the closet, and that's a great thing. It's ridiculous for the government to insert itself in private health matters, and I am confident that these laws will not stand. And one was already struck down. Let's have a hallelujah. I just have one more thing to say about this second circle, the body, your home. You may be on the sacred spiritual path of physical disease. It can be a really tough path. It can be a really painful, trying, and lifelong path. But I know this. Blessing your body is still your best spiritual practice and the best support for your healing. And the good news is, all of your physical suffering is going to end, period. And all will be revealed. Let's take a deep breath on that. The next layer of home is your relationships or your tribe. This is where the job of creating a loving and nurturing home moves from the inner to an outer circle. Living with my parents growing up was tough. Tolstoy said that happy families are all alike, but unhappy families each suffer in their own way. So when I left my parents' home and came out, one of the things I needed to do was create a household of gay men in a gay ghetto. Unlike today, LGBTQ+ sensibilities were not all around us. In a sense, in the 1980s, we still didn't know how to be openly gay. So we found each other, and here in this town, it meant Capitol Hill, 17th and Denny, 5 years, and 5 years at 16th and Harrison, thank you very much, and supported each other in figuring out how to be out and self-expressed. That's a big part of the reason why society needs gay pride activities. Now, straight people don't need a pride parade because being straight is a given. It's not something to be ashamed of. Straight people don't need a pride parade, but they can have a ton of fun at one. Now, this business of your tribe, it can reveal itself in one particular way. A lot of people retire and think that they are going to find paradise in some lovely tropical locale. Anybody besides me like to look at the videos of houses for sale in Spain and Italy and Mexico? Yeah, it's a lovely dream. So they pack everything up and move far away, and then they realize that they didn't bring what matters to them most, their grandchildren and their friends. For many of us, home is really where our people are. I met my husband, Ken, at a gay men's spiritual retreat here in West Seattle in 1995. And I thought about that, and I thought, okay, if in 1970, somebody called up the Seattle Parks and Recs and said, we want to have a gay men's spiritual retreat at Camp Long, they would have had the cops there and arrested everybody. So this was in 95, and there was a gay men's spiritual retreat. And on the way there, I had been a confirmed bachelor. I was never going to get married. I was never going to be in a committed relationship. And then I approached 40, and I thought, oh, you are not going to be cute forever. I've done single. Maybe I should try married. And so I used spiritual techniques and teachings to change my very bad attitudes and beliefs about marriage. That had to happen. And so I signed up for this gay men's spiritual retreat. And on the drive there on Friday night, I had this very strong premonition that I was going to meet someone. And it was weird because I'm not a kind of person who, like, every day turns around and has a premonition. It was a very strong premonition. So I get there, and it's the first night, and there's like 30 guys, and it's like, no, 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 no. Went all the way around the circle. I was like, oh, I guess that was not real. And then Saturday morning came, everybody showed up, and this guy who hadn't been there the night before walked in the room, and he smiled, and the whole room was filled with light. And all morning it kept trying to catch his eye. And finally we were going to lunch, and we finally saw each other. And we were across a crowded room, and we came together, and we embraced and fell on the floor and rolled across the floor laughing. And if you put that in a movie, nobody would believe it happened. And we've been together 27 years. I wish that kind of companionship for you. You deserve that, and I know that you can have that, because if somebody like me who is so against relationship could be in a great one, there is hope for us all. The last layer of home is your place on the earth. Birds have a nest, bats have a cave, moles have a burrow, and clams have a shell. Every creature on the planet has a place or places where they thrive, and also places where they don't thrive. You don't see palm trees above the Arctic Circle, and northern pines don't make it in the Amazon. Some people thrive in the city, some in the suburbs, some in small towns or in the country, and some in the wilderness. So my tip to you is, if you are not thriving, it might be useful to consider the possibility that you are not in your right place. In my spiritual counseling work, I've noticed that sometimes, every once in a while, a client's problem isn't who they are or what they believe the problem is where they are. Like they're reporting they don't like their work, or they don't have any work, and there's no romance, or they're having trouble making friends. And later it turns out that their good was in another city, or in another state, or in another country. So I want to tell the story of how I got to Seattle. I graduated from the University of Maryland in 1976, and I was 21, and like many, if not most 21-year-olds, I had no idea what I was going to be when I grew up. Right? Anybody experience the 20s? You're out of the cocoon and you're still dissolving? Like all good gay lib activists, I was pretty sure my future lay in the gay mecca of San Francisco. So I went there for a month-long vacation in June of '78 to culminate in the Gay Pride Parade at the end of the month. So there I am in my giant hair, my enormous aviator glasses, and a picket sign that read, "A gay landlord is still a landlord." And I'm waiting, because I'm a very radical left, don't you know? And I'm waiting for the parade to begin, and I strike up a conversation with a lesbian couple. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I was considering moving to San Francisco, but and although it was a beautiful city and sunny and pleasant, I felt like it was one giant open-air bathhouse. There were just so many gay men there." And I said, "I like sex, but not that much. And if I move here, I feel like I will fall into a pit of sex and never come out." "Well, you should come live where we live." "Where's that?" "Seattle." And I was like, lesbians, Gore-Tex, Seattle is in the Yukon. I'm not going. I thought Seattle was in the Yukon because of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. The forces on the invisible gave me two other very clear signals, and that everything conspired to make sure that I got here. And I moved here in 1979. And everything that I wanted out of life was waiting for me here in Seattle. Everything that was good was here. And I had to be hit on the head 3 times from the other side in order to get it. So my tip to you is, I hope you're in the right place. If you're not in the right place, move. It's risky, it takes effort, it costs you money, it will be worth it. Move if you're called to move. My home here in Seattle includes Seattle Unity. This was the first New Thought church I ever went to. Yeah, I go away, but then I come back, and spiritual community is just so important. And if you found a spiritual home here, I invite you to really don't take it for granted. I co-founded Amazing Grace Spiritual Center, had a great, glorious 12 years, and then when a minister retires from a spiritual community, what they don't tell you is that you then lose your spiritual community because you have to go away. You can't be hovering around like a ghost of the past. Amen? And so I am seeking. I'm doing a little bit of work for Genesis Center for Spiritual Living in Burien, but that is not my spiritual home. And if you have a spiritual home here, let's everybody take a breath. Don't take it for granted. Love it, treasure it, give all you can to it, and get all that you can back from it. Home is an inside job and an outside job, and it's everything. Should I pray? Great. Can I get the keyboard player to back me up a little? Life is good. Life is a gift. And so we take this time to awaken again, yet again, and again, and again to the gift of life. To the gift of laughter, to the gift of wisdom, to the gift of unfoldment, to the gift of change, to the gift of struggle, to the gift of home. And as we focus our being on the center of the center, there is a sweetness, there is a power, there is a freedom and a grace in the seat of the soul. We are all Buddhas unfolding. We are right where we are. We are right where we need to be. All is beautiful. All is well. And for this we give thanks. And so it is.
Thank you, Eric. So as our ushers come forward, and if you have the prayer request forms, you can put those on the chair in front of me there. So let's just take a moment as we hold our gifts in our hands. And if you give electronically, we have a text number up on the screen, which you can give through texting. And if you give electronically, you can take one of those cards and hold it in your heart. And so let us affirm together. I give willingly, joyfully, and lovingly, knowing that God is the constant source of my supply. I give with graciousness and receive with gratitude.
This song is called David Danced, and I learned it from Eric. Eric trained me as a music director, so he's like my work dad, my spiritual dad in many ways. This was sung by Monia Jarrett. Do you remember her? It's an easy piece. There's a little call response. I encourage you to sing back, but the reason I chose this vibe is because it's got this little dancing thing happening. So let that into your body, whether it's through your neck or your shoulders or tilting back and forth, or you can do the, what is my husband calls it the white man overbite thing, like. Any man can do it. Come on. When the Spirit of the Lord comes upon my heart, I will dance like David danced. When the Spirit of the Lord comes upon my heart, I will dance like David danced. strong. When the Spirit of the Lord comes upon my heart, I will sing like David sang. Sing that loud. When the Spirit of the Lord comes upon my heart, I will sing like David sang. I will sing. I will sing. I will sing. I will sing like David sang. I will sing. I will sing. I will sing like David sang. Sing for me, band. Let's pray. When the Spirit of the Lord comes upon my heart, I will pray like David prayed. When the Spirit of the Lord comes upon my heart, I will pray like David prayed. I will pray. I will pray. I will pray like David prayed. I will pray. I will pray. I will pray like David prayed. And I will sing. I will sing. I will sing. I will sing like David sang. Dance. I will dance. I will dance. I will dance like David danced.
So if we have any chaplains in the room, if you would come up here with me and as we do our prayers, it's nice to have the energy. So Dana and Lewis. And Lewis is leading a pranic healing on the first Monday of every month. So might want to check that out at 7 p.m. All right, so let's turn our attention within. And so we bless our offering as we are so grateful for the generosity of each giver and recognize that it returns to you because you've created this vacuum. And so your good returns to you a millionfold. And we do dedicate these offerings to the will, the work, and the way of the living Spirit of truth. And so we want to say hello to those watching from Linwood and Auburn, Northgate, West Seattle, Greenwood, Bainbridge Island, and Kenmore. Thank you for being with us. And so we turn now our prayers. So I invite you to move to that place of a higher consciousness as we direct energy to Jim and to the Devon family who are grieving. So we surround them with the comfort and love of spirit and community, particularly Sarah and Dorn and Kenny. We hold in the highest and best Judy and Betty, Belinda, Linda and Sandra. We take a deep breath. And we send light to Stephanie, Shirley, Beth, Albert and Mike, Bill, GM. Again, directing the light to Sabrina and Diane Chase, to Grace and Tammy, Kaylin, Mike, Jean, Kathy, Sherry, Dana, and Candy. And anyone else who comes to your mind, please speak their names now. And so may these prayers, may this light be received with the intention in which it was given, with love, kindness, and compassion as we affirm our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yes, it is, Heather.
Our chaplains are here to pray with you.
Let's sing a closing song together if you'd stand as you are able. This is an opportunity to hold hands, which you are invited to do, but it's okay to say no if that's not your bag. It's, it's post-COVID. You're allowed to say like, thank you, no. But we're going to do a song called We Let the Love Wash Over Us. And if you're new today, you will feel somebody sort of, and you'll be like, what are you doing? Just trust us, it's fine. That always works out, right? Okay. We'll find out. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. Sing it again. Harmonize if you like. Happy Sunday!